My first book ever was an erotic collection of short stories called Quiver. I wrote it in between my happening career as a serious and sometimes seriously funny playwright. Quiver went on to sell over 180,000 copies, and before I knew it, I was categorised as an erotic writer. I've always used a lot of humour, magic realism and myth in my stage work, as well as the study of sexuality and power in terms of power play between characters, and it shows in my prose. For example, in one of the stories from Quiver, a young couple move into a haunted house. The wife, while trying to get pregnant, discovers that her husband takes to strange sexual habits during their lovemaking. She starts to research the house and realises that her husband has been haunted by the resident ghost. She falls pregnant, gives birth, and you can guess the rest, and no, the baby doesn't float. In my second collection of short stories, Tremble, Sensual Fables of the Mystical and Sinister, stories include an oil rig worker who consummates his lust with a mermaid, a gay love story set in the Falkland Islands War, starring an albino bat that's been a mascot for a ship since the time of Trafalgar, a virginal nun who has immaculate conception, gives birth to a son who grows to a man within 24 hours, then the man seduces her. My first historical novel was called The Witch of Cologne and is set in 17th century Germania. It's the story of Ruth Bat-Sul, a Jewish midwife who, as an adolescent, trained under the humanist philosopher Spinoza. The narrative begins with her return to the Jewish village of Deutz, outside the walled Catholic city of Cologne, where she is practicing her midwifery using the Kabbalah and some science she's picked up in Amsterdam. Ruth is arrested for witchcraft by a Spanish inquisitor who persecuted her Spanish mother. Her interrogation is taken over by a young German cleric, Detlef, who falls in love with her. The narrative is a story of their great love and its survival against religious persecution, plague, and great prejudice. My latest book is called Soul and is set in Mayfair in 1861 and also in Los Angeles, 2002. It is the story of a great-grandmother and a great-granddaughter and cuts between the two eras. Julia is a 40-year-old geneticist who believes she is happily married. She is 3 months pregnant when she receives a commission from the US Defense Department to research a gene that will enable men to kill without remorse. At the same time, we learn that Lavinia, Julia's great-grandmother, stood trial for the murder of her husband in 1861. Suddenly, Julia's husband leaves her for her best friend, setting Julia on a path of obsession, revenge, and finally to a genetic revelation of her own. I wanted to explore the concept that if there is a soul, it lies in the gene, and that we're dictated more by nature rather than nurture. So I guess with themes like that, I could be considered just another fiction writer.